Coming up on Cronkite News, it's National Voter Registration Day. We'll show the efforts around the state to get people to go to the polls.
Plus, the latest on the shipping containers being used to create a border fence. What environmental groups are saying about the new wall.
And the link between COVID and Alzheimer's in senior citizens. What researchers are saying about brain function in those who get the virus.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Carolina Hassett.
And I'm Mackenzie Hamill. Thank you for joining us. Today is National Voter Registration Day, and advocacy groups around the state are trying to get more people ready to cast their ballots in November. Cronkite News reporter Jimena Vera and I spoke with organizations today about why it's so important for diverse communities to vote.
We are community and we're united behind one voice.
This morning at the Capitol building, a statewide coalition of groups and local leaders sent a message to the community.
There is a midterm election where we're going to have the opportunity to vote for some pretty important positions that will take the leadership of our state.
Mi Familia Vota, Chicanas por la Causa, Promise Arizona, and other groups are urging voters to make their voices heard.
We want to make sure that every community is empowered. Simply by voting, they have a stronger voice. And that's what we're trying to accomplish.
In another part of the valley, representatives from the Phoenix Indian Center say in previous elections, their turnout was big. This is something they hope to increase for November.
We as American Indians, many of us, we maintain dual citizenship. So we are very active in our local, state, and county elections.
Need to check on your registration status, register to vote, or change your address. You can go to arizona.vote. The deadline to register is October 11th, and the midterm election is on November 8th.
House Democrats are voting this week to make changes to the Electoral Count Act. The proposed legislation aims to make it harder to overturn presidential elections in the future and for lawmakers to raise objections to official electors submitted from states. It would also address attempts from state legislators to change the outcome of already certified elections. Bill supporters hope the changes will stop an incident like the Capitol breach on January 6th from happening again. If the bill is approved this week, it will have to be reconciled with legislation. Earlier this year, Governor Doug Ducey called for shipping containers to be used to create a border wall near Yuma. But as Cronkite News reporter Jennifer Sani explains, that's causing problems, according to environmental groups and indigenous community leaders.
Some local leaders applaud a new strategy, while others are concerned about its effects. There are now 130 shipping containers in some areas of the border wall in the Yuma sector.
These are doing the job given the situation that we have.
The shipping containers filled 3,820 feet of border holes, and local authorities welcomed this installation as a security measure.
This area has always been a corridor for drugs and for human trafficking, and also for goods that have been counterfeited to come up through the U.S. just because of its porous and open nature.
What's different about this course of action is that the Arizona state government installed these walls, not the federal government. For Mayor Doug Nichols, the containers will help mitigate the number of migrants passing through the Yuma sector.
By closing these very active gaps, it doesn't necessarily stop people from crossing because, as was mentioned today, they can move to other areas, but it removes the ease of getting right into the community. And so you have fewer locations at which you have to engage groups of people.
But for Eric Mesa, Borderlands coordinator from the Sierra Club, this is problematic.
The roads have been impacted, the dust and all of these different things put in together, there is definitely a huge impact in the environment and also on the communities that live here.
The Cocopa Indian tribal community shares a similar concern. In a statement, they say, this roadway is intended to be a 2-lane road that is now a 1-lane road as the placement of shipping containers is completely blocking 1 lane. This 2-lane road is a vital evacuation route for the West Reservation of the Cocopa Indian tribal community. While some local authorities insist this is the best remedy for now, for Mesa, this doesn't address the larger issue.
We're always fighting to fix what's broken instead of really trying to figure out ways of how can we prevent, how can we really address root causes.
The Bureau of Reclamation is also concerned that containers on Bureau access roads could impact their ability to deliver water. In the newsroom, Jennifer Sani, Cronkite News.
A new study in seniors suggests that there could be a major link between having COVID and brain function. The research connects coronavirus infections in people 65 and older with being diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Researchers looked at more than 6 million seniors who got COVID-19 in the first year of the pandemic, and they found that group to have a substantially higher risk of getting an Alzheimer's diagnosis within 1 year of getting the virus. Those infections came before antiviral medication and before most people were fully vaccinated. Still, the possible link is concerning to some doctors.
There are many possibilities. Of course, the one that's most worrisome is that COVID itself interacts with the brain and either accelerates or tips people over into a dementia kind of a profile.
The study also found an even higher risk for being diagnosed with Alzheimer's in women and people over the age of 85.
The U.S. Service Task Force is now recommending that doctors regularly screen test adults for anxiety. It's the first time screening for this has been recommended as primary care without symptoms. The report released earlier today will be open to comments until October 17th. Anxiety disorders are one of the most common mental health complaints, affecting about 40% of U.S. women at some point in their lives and more than 25% of men.
A new report this month claims one of the top social media platforms is delivering misinformation to young users. NewsGuard's Misinformation Monitor published a report last week that nearly 20% of the videos that appear when you search TikTok contain some form of misinformation. When comparing search engine results to Google about topics like the 2020 presidential election and Russia's war on Ukraine, TikTok overwhelmingly delivered videos with false information in the first 20 results. Researchers also found that the platform has health misinformation. A TikTok spokesperson says it partners with independent fact checkers and credible voices to assess the accuracy of its content.
A Supreme Court ruling affecting Native American lands is being called a disaster for tribal sovereignty. We'll explain why a change in who can prosecute crimes is impacting tribal lands in several states.
Plus, wildfires can happen year-round in Arizona, what the government just announced to help us mitigate those chances.
Okay, let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge?
You can do anything. History is today.
Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village.
The landscape of criminal investigation.
Murder,
almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is mystery.
I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing.
You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
It's an Oklahoma case, but its impact is being felt in states and tribal lands nationwide. The Supreme Court's Oklahoma versus Castro Huerta ruling says states can prosecute some crimes on tribal lands. It's a ruling that no one appears to be happy with, as Cronkite News reporter John Brown explains from our Washington bureau.
Mary Nagel's reaction to the Castro Huerta ruling is direct and to the point.
It is a bad decision.
Nagel, the counsel for the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center, was typical of the witnesses who testified today to a House committee on the ruling, which has been called a disaster for tribal sovereignty. The feud began here at the Supreme Court, which said in 2020 that states could not prosecute tribal members for crimes committed on tribal lands, but eased that ruling last year with Castro Huerta, which said states could prosecute non-natives in some cases. Most witnesses today said that intrudes on tribal justice and makes it harder for tribes to protect people. Many, like Muskogee Nation Ambassador Jonadev Chodhuri, called on Congress to take action.
Today's discussion demonstrated the unanimity of Indian country representatives, tribal leaders, and those who seek safety in Indian country to pursue action on the part of Congress.
But state prosecutors disagree. They say Castro Huerta has given hope to Native American victims of crime, who they say are often overlooked by federal prosecutors and may not be helped by strapped tribal courts.
And that is what Castro Huerta provided to us in the state of Oklahoma, was the opportunity to go out and seek justice for our Native American victims.
There was no action in today's hearing, but Nagel and others said that talking about the issue is an important first step.
It was great to hear from so many tribal leaders across Indian country and to hear the consensus that Congress needs to do something.
In Washington, John Brown, Cronkite News.
Nagel says that Congress has already acted, noting that the latest reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act expanded the list of domestic violence crimes that tribes can prosecute. She said the Supreme Court ignored that law, which is scheduled to take effect on October 1st.
Students in the Navajo Nation have a new way to get to school, and it's helping the environment. A Georgia-based electric vehicle company just dropped off the first of a new collection of zero-emission school buses in Arizona. They're serving the students in Chinle School District, which is the largest school district in the Navajo Nation and includes the largest reservation high school in the country. Each electric school bus can carry upwards of 80 students and travel 120 miles on a single charge. Beyond helping the environment, the school district superintendent says this will help students learn more about science.
Arizona is getting more money to help fight wildfires. The announcement came yesterday in Tucson from the Deputy Secretary of the Interior. More than $10 million will come from President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law, and it will be used on nearly 10,000 acres of land across the state. The focus will be on treating fire fuels in high-risk areas. Officials hope this will help protect homes, businesses, and public drinking water. This new effort, combined with money from earlier this year, will employ tribal members, youth, and veterans. Wildfires can happen year-round, but we can expect slightly cooler temps and some rain in our future. Isabella Fredrickson is in the Cronkite News Weather Center. Can we expect some of those fall temperatures soon, Isabella?
The fall season is approaching, and this week's weather in Arizona is here to prove that. As we start off with our evening planner, we are already in the mid-90s, and by the time we hit 10 p.m., we are only at 89 degrees. Now, these cooler temperatures are due to the tropical storm Kay, and as you can see over here, a lot of that moisture is coming in from the California coast and moving across the state of Arizona. As our futurecast reflects, that moisture will be coming through and causing some light chances of rain. Looking at the high temperatures for tomorrow, the temperatures will be a lot cooler than we are used to. Phoenix is at 92 degrees, and our highest temperature for tomorrow in the state will be over in Lake Havasu City at 99 degrees. Our coolest temperature will be up north in Flagstaff at only 66 degrees. And finally, as we look at our 8-day forecast, 92 degrees on Wednesday and only 96 degrees on Thursday, and a 50% chance of some storm activity on Wednesday. By the time we hit Friday, we will be back to those triple-digit temps, and we are looking at sunny skies with some slight clouds. Enjoy those cooler temperatures. Isabella Fredrickson in the Cronkite News Weather Center.
I'm Ryan Blank. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Kyler Murray was involved in a fan incident after Sunday's game in Las Vegas. We'll have all the details coming up next.
Okay, let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge?
You can do anything. History is today.
Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery. Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village.
The landscape of criminal investigation.
Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is mystery.
I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing. You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Welcome back to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Ryan Blank. Las Vegas police are investigating an incident between a fan and Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray from last Sunday. A report confirmed that a battery complaint was made at the stadium following the game. Murray was not named in the report, but an investigation is underway. Video circulating on social media shows a fan reaching over the front row and hitting Murray in the face as he celebrated with fans. The Las Vegas Police Department has not provided an update yet on the investigation. Former Arizona Coyote Keith Yandle announced his retirement after playing 1,109 games in the National Hockey League. Yandle was drafted in the 4th round of the 2005 draft and spent 9 seasons with the Coyotes. In that time, he played 558 games, tallying over 300 points, and he was on the All-Star team for 4 seasons in a row. Yandle also currently holds the NHL Ironman record with over 980 consecutive games played. Arizona State women's soccer won their 3rd match in a row against Toledo on Sunday, as one Sun Devil player continues to set a new standard. Nicole Douglas was named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week for her performance in wins over Grambling State and Toledo. Douglas scored four goals in the 2 matches, including a first-half hat-trick against Grambling State, which set a new school record for goals, points, and game-winning goals in a career. Douglas now has 9 goals on the season and is enjoying a stretch of 28 goals scored in her last 26 games played. ASU football practiced today for the first time since Herm Edwards relinquished his duties as head coach. Sean Aguano, who was named the interim head coach, will have just a couple of days to make his imprint on the team ahead of the Sun Devils' first Pac-12 game on Saturday. ASU hosts 13th-ranked Utah in Tempe, and Aguano, who was most recently the running backs coach, will need to get an extra spark from the Sun Devil offense. Aguano talked about his relationship with his running backs and stressed the importance of accountability from his leaders on the ground.
I want to make sure that I keep that relationship with that running back because they're a special group of guys that help us win football games. And I asked them last night, I called each one of them and asked them last night, I need their help. And they was like, Coach, we're all in. And so I know that they got our back, and I for sure got their back.
Finally, tonight, we introduce you to one of Arizona's football coaches who has been an inspiration on his players and fellow coaches. Cronkite News reporter Ashley Engel went to Wickenburg High School to meet the coach who is making a huge impact.
In a town northwest of Phoenix off the 60, defensive assistant coach Carter Crossland comes to Wickenburg High School to be an inspiration to both coaches and athletes.
If I can be that positive impact and that role model for somebody, I definitely want to keep doing that and make sure I'm always keeping myself right.
Coach Carter is not like the other coaches physically, as he was born without arms or legs. He travels daily in his electric wheelchair from his home across town to the high school practice field.
This is me. This is who I am. This is what I do.
Crossland is there for the same reason as all the players and coaches, for the love of football.
It's just such a great sport. You can learn so many lessons in football that I use every day.
After moving to Wickenburg a year ago, Crossland has inspired many at Wickenburg High School, the town of Wickenburg, and across some parts of the state of Arizona.
It just shows that I'm gifted. I have arms and legs, and he has that. I'm gifted that I have it, and I should use my power to use all of that I can do to use what I have and I'm gifted with.
Coach Carter coming out coaching rain or shine doesn't stop him from living his life to the fullest. In fact, he urges everyone to not take life for granted, as we all have more similarities than differences.
Everybody's got their challenges. Everybody has their stories. You know, some people's challenges are a little more obvious than others. Than what we're kind of portrayed to be, I think.
With his goal of becoming a head coach one day, Coach Crossland enjoys mentoring players daily, watching them grow into young men.
That's kind of my focus right now, is to try to learn everything and the behind-the-scenes stuff too, so when that opportunity comes, I'm ready.
Players and coaches enjoy having Coach Carter out on the field, as they feel football wouldn't be the same without his positive spirit and determination to the game.
I love having him out here. He brings the moral of everybody up. He's really funny to be around. He never quits, never says he can't do anything. He just never stops. He's always going.
And Crossland will continue to keep going no matter the circumstances. In Wickenburg, Ashley Engel, Cronkite News.
That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Carolina.
After the break, do you want to make a move? Next week is the best time to buy your next house. Find out what factors have contributed to the decrease in prices.
Okay, let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge?
You can do anything. History is today.
Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
The place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery. Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village.
The landscape of criminal investigation.
Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is
mystery. I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our
stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing. You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Next week is the best time to buy a new house. That's according to a new analysis of Realtor.com. Data shows that the best time to buy a house this year is the week of September 25th. Market conditions favor buyers the most during this time of year. Nationally, home prices are cooling off and homes are sitting on the market longer. An increase in inventory and price reductions are giving buyers more options this coming week. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.